We're back. It's another edition of Open Court, the 2018-19 season preview. As usual, we've gathered a collection of champions and Hall of Famers and a future Hall of Famer, and Chris Bosh, who joins us, a recent enshrinee in Grant Hill.
Oh, wow,
Congratulations again.
Trying to be like Isiah.
Isiah Thomas, Kenny the Jet Smith, Kevin McHale right over there. This is a season preview, so I'll get right to the heart of the matter. Can anybody beat the Golden State Warriors this year?
Not if they're healthy. I mean, there are a couple of teams that are intriguing and got a chance. You know, like the Celtics has a chance.
Wait, did you just say the Celtics out the gate for you?
Yeah, they got a chance. Yeah, I said they got a chance.
Okay.
Hey, you gotta call it the way he sees it. I mean, hey, look at that.
Yeah, they got a chance. I think Toronto, if they get themselves together, I think they got a chance. But other than that, Golden State, if they're healthy, they're the best team out.
So what would it take, aside, assuming health on all parts, the Warriors, the other contenders, what would it take to beat this team? Is it a style thing? Is it a matchup thing? Does somebody have to play differently than them?
It's a style thing, I think, because you can't out Golden State. You get up and run with them and stuff. I thought Houston gave them a lot of trouble last year because of two things. They switched everything defensively, and they were switching with some really good defenders, Ariza, P.J. Tucker, Luke Mabute. They lost a couple of those guys, but their ability to switch everything really stopped a lot of the pin-down action that Klay Thompson comes off of, and he gets wide-open shots. You know, Steph Curry gets wide-open shots, and they don't turn the ball over. They walked it up. Remember D'Antoni's 7 seconds or less?
Yeah.
I said, it's now become 7 ball screens or more. I mean, they walk it up, and it's just pick and roll, pick and roll. There's not turnovers, and that's where they kill you. So if you're playing fast and turning it over, Steph's walking into threes, which you can't. So it's a style thing. Then you better have a hell of a lot of athletes. Like Zeke said, Celtics do fit that category. They got a bunch of athletes that can get up and defend you on the perimeter. You have to have great perimeter defenders to even think about beating the Golden State Warriors.
Used to be able to beat them because they were they get happy, Golden State, and they turn the basketball over. They would turn it over, and you could get just as many opportunities as them or more at the rim. Then they were small. Then you could possibly pound them and out-rebound them, get second opportunities there. But now, if Cousins comes in and he's healthy, you can't pound them. So you don't get second shots anymore. So all of a sudden, because he's a big guy who can play small, he can shoot the three, he handles the basketball, probably one of the elite passers at his size. They're unbeatable if he's healthy, unbeatable. If he becomes healthy, you cannot beat the Golden State Warriors.
And I think there'll be a better defensive team, too, because of him, believe it or not, because they now become the toughest team in the West.
Yes.
When you got Cousins and you got Draymond Green on the back line, right, and you out in the West, they the two toughest dudes now. Right. And then they score the basketball. And as all of us know here, right, you know, scoring is your best defense. They're going to come down and score, and you go down and miss, okay, you down 2. Then they come down and score again. Now you down 5 because they just hit a 3, right? And the game plan goes out the window. So you got to score to keep up with him.
The one thing for them that was a little bit alarming last year was just at times I thought they got overly complacent. And because they were so good and they're so dominant, and they knew they would kind of go through the motions, kind of just not really be serious, and then kind of flip the switch there in the second half. And it almost hurt them in that Houston series where they very easily could have lost that series. I do think the injection of Boogie this year, bringing him in the mix, wanting him to do well, his energy, his toughness, I think that's the kind of a jolt they need. But I thought last year they got bored at times.
You know what my dad used to call that? It's hard to work hard when you're sleeping in silk robes, brother.
And you would know.
What, about working hard or silk robes? But, you know, I agree with you. I think their biggest fight is complacency. They've got to just stay interested in the regular season enough to get to the playoffs with kind of an edge.
As you guys know, definitely, I mean, back-to-back, that trying to win a third one is harder than you know. Not only that, you get other teams. I think there should be a team that should emerge, you know, with an edge this year. I mean, if I'm playing for another team, if I'm playing for Boston, you know, or if I'm playing for Toronto, I should look around and say, why can't we win this now? Because all we got to do is get there. And once we get there, of course, injuries and stuff play a part in the finals and everything. But if you know, they're kind of asleep at the wheel. You can hope maybe you can get them twice and then beat them
So
two
you
more
only said
times.
teams in the East. You haven't said anybody in the West.
Right.
You're like, oh.
Well, I mean, the Rockets, I mean, I think that's kind of like a natural lineup. I don't know what, you know, the Lakers can put together out there, but, I mean, yeah, it's very top-heavy in the West.
Well,
right?
Lakers are interesting.
Yeah, they're
they
very
are,
interesting.
but you brought up a good point, and Kenny, you probably experienced this too. Like, when you're trying to three-peat, and I know that's what we were trying to do after we won back-to-back championships. It's like, okay, I was really thirsty for that third championship. And I think what happened to all of us chasing that third one was injury. We didn't understand how hard and how far we could push our body. But Chicago coming up, as you said, that next team coming up, they were just as thirsty as we were. And our injuries, right, couldn't overcome their thirstiness. But I don't see that with Golden State unless they get injured.
Right.
Because I think they're really thirsty for this third championship to put themselves in the category of the Celtics, of the Lakers, of this era where they've just totally been the most dominant team.
It would also be 4 and 5. No team's done that since the 60s era.
Yeah.
Celtics. And remember, Curry and Kevin Durant were both hurt significant chunks of the regular season last year. Chris, as you look at them, is there a blueprint that could work for beating them if they're healthy?
Yeah, sure. Nobody's discovered
share
it
what
yet.
it is?
I think that's that's the mystery. I mean, because at the end of the day, you know, they're going to put their best 5 players out there, and they've got 8 or 9 guys they can choose from who's playing best at the moment. And they're just going to go out and play basketball. And their style makes them very hard to guard. They really don't run plays. They just kind of read and react off of each other for the whole time. So there's not really a strategy you can really implement. It's just, you know, they're really riding a wave right now. And I think I think the most important thing for a team to beat them is, like we were talking about, that edge. I don't really see that in other teams playing them. So, you know, and I will say, this is just a sidebar. It's funny chasing the three-peat, you know, hearing Isiah talking about the three-peat. When we were chasing it, I remember Steve Kerr said we couldn't do it. And I was, you know, just mad. Like, what does this dude think he is and everything? We got to the finals, and like Isiah said, we just ran out of gas. We're looking to our left and right, Ray Allen's knee, Rashard Lewis's knee, Dwayne's knee. You know, it's just, we just kept running into problems, and we just didn't have enough, and they were way hungrier, and they played excellent basketball. So, you know, in the Warriors' case, we'll see what happens.
In summary, Warriors, 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 Warriors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots more coming up here on our 2018-19 season preview on Open Court.
LeBron may have to have more patience now than he's ever had before. But then again, show them how to win, though. Don't show them how to put up numbers.
Great players don't really have patience.
No, I ain't got time.
I mean, exactly. He's going to have an expectation for them to get it and get it right away.
Breaking news, the big bombshell is dropped. LeBron James has agreed to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's very difficult when you come into a season with a bunch of young guys trying to figure out their roles.
These guys have to learn how to play with LeBron, but they also have to learn how to deal with the pressures that come along with it.
Biggest story of the offseason, obviously, LeBron James making the move out to Los Angeles, and there are a lot of factors for him. Strictly from a basketball point of view, what did you make of the fit?
Well, this will be different for him, honestly. I just believe. I know Chris played with him, so he might have a better insight. But I think when you play in a city in Miami, when you play in Cleveland, every game isn't on display. So being a great player he is, I'm sure it will elevate his game. But every game isn't critiqued, not by the media, by the fans. So that's a different environment to be in every day, where the fans, the people who love you, they critique every play. That's different. So he's going to have to, I think, adjust to that part, where people who love him will not like him in the next hour, then love him again and not like him in the next hour. It's usually the media that does that, where he's been. I think the one thing that they do have an advantage, obviously his experience and everything else, but I was thinking about, when Chris sitting here, The year they put in the finals, they put him at 5, and they put you on the bench for the first year, I think. You came off the bench for like a couple of games, and he played the 5.
Coming back from injury. Yeah,
coming back from injury. And he played the 5. In the Western Conference, he could do that. He can move to the 5 and make those centers real uncomfortable.
Interesting. How do the teammates fit? You played with LeBron, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have an interesting bunch of guys. You know, Rondo, the young guys. I think is handling how to be a Laker. I think for him, for LeBron, he's going to have to adjust from East Coast basketball to West Coast basketball because there is a difference. It is a lot faster. They're young guys. Are they going to be able to handle the spotlight? Because you know that thing changes, especially with a superstar like LeBron in LA. They're automatically going to be put on a pedestal. So are their young guys going to continue to get better? Are they going to compete every night? Are they going to go and earn their wins? And that's always a huge factor. You know, I think about like Kyle Kuzma. He has to have a good year because that scouting report, when that scouting report comes out, it's a totally different story.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a lot of, you know, tangibles that they have to deal with. But I think if they can put it together, it'll be very, very interesting. And just like you said, Kenny, LeBron at the 5, I mean, if they find the right 4 around that, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, who knows what they could do.
My first year I made the All-Star team, we in New Jersey, and, you know, everybody's in the locker room joking around, laughing. And then Dr. J walked in, right? And when Dr. J walked in, everybody just kind of stopped laughing. He didn't say nothing, right? He just walked in the room, but everybody just kind of fell in place. So I look at, like, the chemistry of the team, you know, with all the different, you know, attitudes or whatever that they brought together. You know, LeBron will, I think the biggest challenge for him, will he be able to blend the attitudes and the personalities together to make it one team, right? I think he has the ability to do that. But the second thing I think is going to be the most important thing for them, those young guys, right? And you can speak to this, the level of competition that they're getting ready to face every single night, right? Can they raise up and be competitive and compete at a high level for 82 games? Because you best believe for 82 games, right, everybody they play against, they gonna want to beat the hell out of them, right? and I don't know, I think LeBron's ready for that. I think Rondo's ready for that. The young guys, everybody else on that team, I don't know if they really understand what's getting ready to happen.
You can't be ready. You can't be ready.
Well, because they went through that whole thing. They're like, well, we played in the NBA. We play every night against these guys.
Right.
The difference is when you're on a good team and you played the Lakers last year, I don't have to come in with the same punch from door all the time.
Yeah.
Some nights, if I have it, we're going to come in from door and smack you in the mouth. But then even if we don't smack you in the mouth, we know at some point we have it. But when you're in LeBron James Laker team now, we're coming in from door. You're seeing our best shot every time from door because we can't afford to let you hang around now. We can't let you have a 5-point game in the third quarter. No, we have to be already smacked you in the mouth. So
that's a championship. That's a different attitude that's very tough to pick up, though. You know, to come in.
Young kids don't come in with that because they don't understand it. You're talking about LeBron. You know, LeBron playing the 5. LeBron scares me playing the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 and 7. I mean, that guy just plays basketball.
Right.
My biggest thing I think for him is he can allow those young guys to develop the way they need to develop.
Yeah.
Because man, there's like I came into a good team in the Celtics. They weren't saying go ahead and get 20, you rookie, learn how to play. They're like, we're winning this game and we're not losing because you're a dumbass. I mean, like, you know, you better figure out what we're doing. Oh, seriously. So he's got to allow these young guys to still make some mistakes and, you know, but grow, but you can't allow a ton of mistakes. LeBron may have to have more patience now than he's ever had before to allow these kids. But then again, show them how to win, though. Don't show them how to put up numbers. You got to learn how to win.
But Kevin, you know, you talk about patience. Great players don't really have patience.
No, I ain't got time.
I mean, exactly. They don't have time. Isaiah don't have time for that. Larry and Kevin don't. I mean, like, literally, he's going to have an expectation for them to get it and get it right away.
Agreed.
And so it's going to be interesting on the patience side. And then a couple things. Kenny made a great point earlier. Expectations. You know, when he went to Miami, when he went back to Cleveland, he's like the savior. You know, he's saving, he's going to bring a championship, although Miami had won a championship prior, but it was just, and like in LA, there's an expectation that we're going to have a great player.
Right. Yeah.
Like, okay, order has been restored. And so that's an interesting dynamic. But then also, too, just like you said, playing with guys now who all of a sudden, a team that didn't have good shooting last year, and you don't surround him with good shooting. Right. Everywhere he's been, he's had good shooting around him. And then, you know, Chris and Dwayne and then Kyrie and Kevin, they were all all-stars when he joined forces with them. So they understood that responsibility of being an elite player. These young guys around him in LA, they have potential, but they're a long way from being at that level. So patience, to your point. It's going to be interesting to see how he manages this season and manages this team.
And then, Chris, I got to ask you a question, because I thought that year that he came, you guys all joined forces in Miami. Mm-hmm. I thought until you played in Cleveland, until you went to Cleveland, it seemed like you guys didn't have an attitude of who you were. You didn't know who you were, you know, with LeBron.
Yeah, well, I think it all just came in like, yeah, this is going to be fun. We're going to win basketball. Then we come in and get together. We've got our play calling. We've got everything down. And you get in the atmosphere. You can't hear anything. We're not a team yet.
Yeah.
We don't have, it's something that we, and especially me coming from Toronto, I didn't experience that stuff. Maybe LeBron and Dwayne did, but me, I was kind of stuck in the headlights a little bit. So it took at least 20 games to get that adjustment. And by then, by the time we came to Cleveland, we saw how the difference is in between being liked and disliked. And I mean a capital diss on there. One of the interesting things, and you guys know how Lakers fans are.
Right.
You know, patience is not in their vocabulary.
No.
You know, so they want to win now. The fans and the fan base, they're going to expect winning now. They're not going to have time for patience. And it does take time,
Man, look,
you know, for teams to gel.
I've always been the man next to the man. I needed a guy that was impatient, that would look down at the bench and go, Rudy, take him out.
Yeah.
Tell the coach to take him out. Like, to me, that's what a superstar is. Like, he doesn't have that patience. So now I'm on my antennas are up, I'm focused in, I'm locked in every possession. So now it raises my game playing with a guy like Kevin McHale, Isiah Thomas, Grant Hill, Chris Bosh. That raised my game. Then there's guys who, when they get put on the spotlight and impatient by the superstar, they move back. They don't want to be part of that. Some guys next to the man want that responsibility, but just can't get it, and they need somebody to push them, and some guys don't want any of that.
Well, if you don't like the spotlight, being LeBron's teammate in LA doesn't seem like the place to be.
Oh, no.
Lots more show coming here on Open Court.
You ever go in certain neighborhoods and all the houses look the same? That's what's starting to look like to me. There is no diversity of skill set. I think that's where the league will change, because I don't think that's good for the league where everything looks the same.
Guys, last season, the Houston Rockets led the NBA with 1,256 made threes. 30 years ago, your Celtics led the league. Any guess how many they hit?
Oh, my God. I have no idea.
271.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Whole season.
Way less. I know that.
How did you guys win?
Boy.
Yeah, we punch inside. We got 3 points the old-fashioned way. Go to work on you, get fouled, and go to the line.
Yeah. So we obviously that's been the thing the last few years: positionless basketball, pace and space. What's next? What's the next big trend coming?
I mean, I think it's probably more the same. I mean, more, you know, continuing to shoot the ball from the perimeter, less going to the basket, or at least being in the post, mid-range game, going away from that. I mean, now you're having more and more bigs who can spread the floor. You know, I remember when I came in, I played with a guy, Terry Mills, who was one of the first stretch fours. And he was, you know, just so unusual to have a guy in that role who's a big guy who shot the ball well from the perimeter. Now, if you can't do that, then you can't play. And I don't know necessarily if that's a good thing, you know, but that's the league that we're in, and I think that'll continue.
Yeah, what's the tipping point? When does it change? And it's interesting looking back even at last year. Only 5 of the top 10 teams in terms of made threes made the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a guarantee you're going to be good playing that.
No, I think everything goes in cycles in our league, and I've been around the league a long time, seen a lot of different cycles in our league. It's cycling right now, really high 3. I think what's going to happen, you're going to get some low post guys that just go to work. And all of a sudden, it's all percentages, okay? The thing about the 3 is they call it, the real shooting percentage because you get the extra point and that stuff. You get some dude that's scoring in the paint at about 70% of the time. Olajuwon, you didn't double team Olajuwon and just let him go to work and let him shoot his little jump hook going over his left shoulder. How many of those you can make out of 10?
He's going to make 9.
Yeah.
But that's what I was going to say, Kevin. I just feel that it's going to be a transitional player. The same way that, and really, to me, I think it's the Steph Curry effect. He was the transitional player and said, hey, at 175, 80 pounds, I could transition and change the game. There's going to be a Shaquille O'Neal type. There's going to be a Hakeem Olajuwon, a Kevin McHale type that says, yeah, if you get 10 shots, I will make 8 out of 10 from inside. So now I will change the dynamic of the game. I won't make 6 out of 10 and give you 12 points and you make 4 out of 10 and get the same. No, I'm going to make 8. And that will change the game and change the dynamic because it is a copycat league. And everyone, when the Detroit Pistons were winning, everyone's like, oh, we need 3 guards. That's how the Houston Rockets were built. Everyone copies who's winning. And when the Houston Rockets bow out early, possibly, Golden State bows out early, then all of a sudden, whoever wins, that's what people follow.
It's interesting because you've got Joel Embiid in Philadelphia, for instance, who has the potential. He's got the size, he's got footwork and some touch to be that dominant post player. But what does he want to do? He wants to go shoot threes.
But he's a hybrid, though. He can shoot the threes, but like you said, he can also play. I don't know if he's
dominant like those guys in the post.
Well, I think he has to do it. I think he has to challenge himself. He's still young enough, and he's got the size. And we're talking about a right hook. We're not talking about a fancy move. And he has the size, the footwork, the speed and agility to, possibly dominate down there. But it's on him to, I'm not saying don't shoot the 3 and handle the ball. He can do those things, but his bread and butter should be in that paint. And if he controls that paint, I mean, they've already got shooters. He could possibly be that person right now.
The other thing that I see is getting ready to happen, and Kenny, this is going to hurt you and I, right? The small guards, we're going to start getting phased out because McHale, Bosh, Grant, these are the sizes of the point guards that are coming in. So when I came into the league, remember, Mac, they was phasing out the small point guards, right? It was Michael Ray Richardson, Reggie Theus, Magic Johnson.
They even moved Jordan to the point for a year.
Everybody had 6'7", 6'8" point guards, and it was very controversial to draft me at 6'1", coming, I lied about being 6'1", but everybody got that extra inch, right? But, it's controversial to take a small guy number 2, right? And then we won. Then everybody went back to the small point guards. I see right now everybody is sizing up, and we call small ball, but everybody out on the floor is 6'8", 6'9", 7'2". It ain't small no more.
I did the playoffs last year with the Philly-Boston series, okay? Philly could not get anything going on the perimeter at all against Boston those first few games. When they made the game interesting is when they started going inside. Dario Saric couldn't get a damn shot off against Jason Tatum and those guys. He went in the post and had, in the last 2 games, he had 27 and 25 points. He had 27 points in the first 3 games combined. They changed up. They just threw him in the post. It still works. But you got to be willing to do it. But here's why it worked. Because he couldn't get a damn shot off against Brown, Smart. And I'm telling you right now, they were just up in his grill. It's going to change with somebody like an Embiid, or someone's going to get the flow going in the other direction with a little bit bigger players.
One of the things, though, you talk about having that transformational player, and I think Embiid could do that. He's not a Shaq, but I think in this modern game, he could dominate inside. But to your point, he doesn't want to. And I think you have a generation of young people now, big guys. They're not working on their hook shots and their post moves. They want to handle the ball like Isaiah Thomas, like Kenny Smith. They want to do things on the that's the game. That's what they're seeing. That's what they're trying to be. Kevin Durant, 6'11". Man, if I'm a 6'10", 6'11" kid now, I want to do that. And so you're not sort of breeding, if you will, or the mindset of big guys at a young age learning how to play with their back to the basket and wanting them to understand the importance of they're copying what they see in the NBA. So I do think if a Shaquille O'Neal comes along, somebody like that who's so dominant, yes, who's transformational, I think it can swing back, and I hope it does, because I actually think having diversity of, in terms of how to score and how to play, can only help your team be at its best.
Well, I was going to ask you about the impact on the league as well, because there can be a sameness to some of the offenses around the league right now because of this trend. Is there a tipping point in terms of this number of threes per game is just too many from a stylistic point of view?
Well, I mean, my thing is I don't think it necessarily. I don't think you have to be inside out necessarily, but I think mid-range. I think being able to, score at the free throw line, get to the paint, get to the rim, have more balance in that regard. When you have a guy like Durant who can go get you a basket, can get to the line, can hit mid-range shots, now that's harder to guard.
Yeah, you ever go in certain neighborhoods and all the houses look the same? That's what it's starting to look like to me. Like every player skill set is the same. Yeah. There is no diversity of skill set. Like, I can shoot the three or I can run for a dunk. Where's my ball handlers? Where's my guys who can post up, who can defend on the post? It looks like a neighborhood that's built the same, and I think that's where the league will change, because I don't think that's good for the league where everything looks the same.
I think, with the record that the Rockets set, that couldn't help them in Game 7 in their building.
There's 27 in a row.
Right. You missed 27 in a row. Like Grant was saying, having that balance, you got to have some kind of balance. Just because it's run and gun and just because the Warriors are shooting threes, they carve you up on the inside and in the paint. Nobody talks about that. Right. But with that said, you have to have a balance to the game. Basketball is basketball. You still got the post, you've got the elbow, you've got threes, you've got point guards, shooting guards, even in this positionless form, but you can't rely on just one thing.
I don't even know if Ben Simmons needs to get a jump shot. If he became a better foul shooter, I think Ben Simmons can control the basketball game and not necessarily score 25 points. But at the end of the game, you look at it and say, man, this guy killed us.
Steal game that you go, damn, that guy was the best player on the floor. And he didn't put up these crazy numbers. I'm looking forward to looking at Ayton, the guy coming in with Phoenix. I just think he's interesting to me. He's got a little touch. He's got a big body. He's got some footwork. I'd like to see if this guy can be a guy that can score in the post. He can make a 15, 16-footer. He can block some shots. I think there's some really good young guys that drive their teams. Donovan Mitchell, Spider Mitchell last year, he turned it around. He became way more efficient in Utah, and they started winning games on his efficiency alone. So I look at I think our league is blessed right now with some really, really good young talent that I'm looking forward to watch.
I would go with Ben Simmons. I just I like what Philly has. I like the way they play. I like their length on defense. I think they could be, if they wanted to, the best defensive team in the league. But that, they have to make a decision to want to do that. But him playing at the point guard, I think he's in an interesting position. He can take it a lot of different ways. He can say, I'm going to shoot, I'm going to work on my game, or he can say, I'm going to get my guys involved. I'm going to be a great defensive player. I'm going to tell Joel to get down inside and duck in. I'm going to duck in and take advantage of my size as well. Just his versatility and what he brings to that team and the game, I think, it can be a very, very interesting ceiling for him and those guys.
You mentioned the shooting, and that's the obvious weakness with Ben Simmons right now. How much better a shooter does he have to become to be the guy in this group that emerges?
I mean, he doesn't have to do it right now. I think for him, I think we all had things we had to develop over the course of our career, and you're not going to have everything right away. Him being creative in finding out ways to score and get his team involved despite not shooting it so well, that'll be good for him until he develops that shot. But he just has to keep working.
I'm interested now to see Lonzo Ball, because I've watched him in high school, grow up. I watched him in college, and then I watched his dad become a star. And so that pressure of his dad being the star, not him, and all of that influx is gone because there's a guy named LeBron James in town. So we haven't heard anything about his dad since LeBron has been in town, honestly. Like, not one word. So that allows him to develop possibly. 6'6", his ability to rebound, push the ball, and find things with LeBron James. And then, and maybe not even this year, with Rondo, because Rondo's a right-now guy. But I think that development will help him, being around in that environment where the most important thing is the game, not what was said about the game. And I think that development for him could be special.
You know, you think about these young, first of all, the great thing about the league is there's always an influx of great talent coming through the pipeline. And we certainly have that. And Tatum, who, went to that great school, and I don't know if I don't know if there's been a rookie that
You go to North Carolina?
Hey, listen, man. Hey, listen, no. Our biggest stars aren't players. We own teams now.
Okay, we do too. We do too.
We own teams, y'all. Y'all can play the game. We own it too. We own it too.
We do too. That's fine. So I'll say about Tatum, I don't know if I've seen a rookie with the skill set. A guy so young with just the step back and all the moves. He has that at such a young age. And Mitchell, what he did last year was fantastic. But I got to agree with Chris. Ben Simmons. I think he has a chance to be a transformational type of player. I think of, like, Kevin Durant, sort of what he does at his size. This guy's 6'10" and handles the ball. I'm not saying like Isiah, I don't want to be disrespectful, but he comes at you with the bop-bop.
Right.
Not a lot of big guys come at you with the through the legs crossover and can dance with the basketball. So one, he does that. Two, like Alonzo Ball, he really tries to pass and think the game and get everybody involved. And he can dominate a game, and he hasn't even figured out how to score yet. Once he learns how to shoot the basketball, it doesn't have to be Steph Curry, it doesn't have to be a great shooter. But when he can be a good shooter and can incorporate that and have the confidence and still have the ability now to dribble and pass and find people, rebound, he's 6'10", could defend. I mean, I think of you as a defender, as a big guy who could guard multiple positions. Look, all those guys are great players. I think they're all going to be all-stars and they have a chance to be special. But I mean, he has a chance to really sort of bring a different style and dominate the game in a way that we really haven't seen before.
Do you think he can play a point guard his entire career?
Yeah, I think so, because of what both of y'all just said about Alonzo Ball. They both are givers. They both want to help each other, right? They both want to pass the basketball. But I don't even know if Ben Simmons needs to get a jump shot. I just think he needs, right now, if he became a better foul shooter, if he got up to 80, 85, hey, he's getting fouled, he's going to the basket, he's scoring, and he knows how to win. I think he's one of the guys that's playing right now, like Magic Johnson used to play, or I used to play, or Stockton used to play, where, you can control a basketball game, and I think Ben Simmons can control a basketball game and not necessarily score 25 points, but at the end of the game, you look at it and say, man, this guy killed us.
Simmons was at 56% last year in terms of the free throw line.
Wow. Can you imagine if he's 80? If he's 80, yeah. if he's 80 or 75, right? Then, then they probably beat the Celtics.
We'll get into some season predictions when we come back on Open Court.
I want to see LA and the Warriors.
You want to see the Lakers?
Oh yeah, I want to see all the old school rivalry dudes come back out and get it going.
The Lakers and the Warriors?
Yeah, sure, why not?
There are no repercussions. That's
true. Get what you need with live games on NBA League Pass.
Final segment on our 2018-19 season preview. Time for some predictions. Who wins NBA MVP?
I'm going to go Kawhi Leonard. I just think that he's going to Toronto. He's very quiet. I think last year the whole league, the way the whole league perceived him bothered him. It would, because he never says a word. He never defends himself. He doesn't say a word. There was more stuff coming out of San Antonio last year. And I just think he's got something to prove. He's going to be one of those silent assassins that's going to go out there every single night. And I think Toronto's going to, they may not have a better record than they had last year, but they'll be a better team. you know, and a better playoff team. Because Kawhi Leonard, to me, is about as good as it gets on a two-way player in our league, and I think he has something to prove. I hope he's healthy.
The silent part we know is going to be true.
Yes.
Yeah, that for sure.
I hope he's healthy.
I would say, I just think it will be somebody in the Eastern Conference. You know, I think between Harden, Westbrook, and LeBron, and Anthony Davis, that they kind of equal each other out. Because I don't know if any of those teams will be able to separate themselves because of Golden State as well. So I'm going to go with Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving.
I'm going with Kyrie Irving.
I'm going to echo. I got two. I think Kevin Durant, I'll start with Kevin Durant. I think he wants to establish that he's the best player in the league.
Agreed.
And I think he'll come out with a mindset this year to really establish that. I think he wanted to fit in with Golden State. But now I think he's ready to show, like, okay, I can get 30, 35 a night. And I think he's going to go for that 30, 35 a night. And then Kyrie in the East, like you say, I think he's going to be the most dominant player in the East, because when I look at the point guard position in the East, he's it every single
Barbecue
night.
chicken.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I look at that little fella doing his stuff, and then I don't see nobody stepping up defensively to challenge him. So that's why I say Kyrie or Durant.
Chris?
Yeah, I was definitely going to go with Kyrie. I was thinking that as soon as you asked the question. He's got all the tools around him. He's in a great system. He's got a great coach. He, like Isiah was saying, the depth at point guard in the East, no disrespect to everybody, but it is not as deep as the West Coast. So that allows him to be able to rest sometimes on defense. And with the development of the young guys with Brown and Tatum, them getting another year under their belt, being on their own without him, I think him taking that step back, he can kind of see where he can affect the game better. And I mean, he's unguardable.
I agree with everyone here about Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, but I'm going to take a different approach. I think because, in Kyrie's case, the East is so weak and his team is so good that he won't have to be great every night for them to win. And I also think Kyrie's at an interesting point. I mean, first of all, he's had some durability issues. Missed last year. I thought last year he really felt like he had to prove. He wanted to prove that he could shine outside of LeBron James, away from his shadow. And I think he certainly did that and proved that. I think now he wants to win. And I think he realizes that I need to beat Golden State. And in order to beat Golden State, I need the guys around me to be at their best. So I wouldn't be surprised if his numbers aren't as gaudy as they could be. I also think Durant, they're so good. He doesn't have, I mean, he can average 35, but I don't know if he will. I don't know if he needs to. And so to say all that, I actually think, and I'm a little bit out on a limb on this, but I think I like Anthony Davis. And I don't think his team is going to be
on a limb. Just
no,
let you know.
what I'm saying, I mean, no, when I say that,
short limb.
No, but the reason I say that is because his team is still unsure how good they'll be. But I think getting rid of Boogie Cousins, now he can really flourish like he did at the end of the season in the postseason. They'll miss Rondo.
For sure.
They will miss Rondo, and that's where I don't know, are they a playoff team? Are they a sixth seed? I just think almost like it's time. Like, I feel like this guy has kind of quietly under the radar been so good. And if his team can be good, I know he's going to put up the numbers to be in that conversation. And I think Anthony Davis.
That's the question, right? If they don't make the playoffs, it just doesn't happen. You don't win MVP
Exactly.
from
Well, I
outside
mean, in
the
his
postseason.
case, they've got to be third. They've got to have home court in the playoffs. I mean,
They're
it's just
going to be a playoff
Yeah.
team. I'd be shocked if New Orleans doesn't make the playoffs.
Well,
I think he's
are
that
they
good.
an eighth seed? Or they
No, I honestly, I tell you what, I look at the West differently. I think New Orleans has got a chance to be, you know, get home court advantage. I really do. I mean, you know, a lot of these teams out there haven't proven to me, you know, no one here can sit here and say Oklahoma City's going to be this. We have no idea what they're going to be. No, it's hard to put what's Portland going to be? Are they? I mean, and I love him. I think that's a great pick. I mean, I love that kid.
Sure.
I love the way they play. They got rid of Boogie and they started getting up and down the floor. I tell you what, some dudes I never heard of were getting off. I'm like, who's that dude? Like, you know, you're on the internet punching them up, going like, damn, that guy came out of nowhere because just the way they played, you know. And so that I like.
But
it.
I also think it was a lot because of Rondo. They were playing that way too.
They'll miss Rondo, no question.
Chris, conference finalists, East and West.
East and West, I'm gonna go with. East, I'm gonna go with Boston, Philly. I mean, West, you got to go with Houston, and you know what? I'd rather see. You all want to see. No disrespect to Houston, I know how guys get sometimes when you leave them out, but I want to see LA and the Warriors.
You want to see the Lakers?
Oh yeah, I want to see all the old school rivalry dudes come back out and get it going.
The Lakers and the Warriors?
Yeah, sure, why not?
There are no repercussions. That's true.
So how do guys get?
You know better than me. You know how that rivalry. You know, come on. Yeah. You know the rivalry runs deep, and especially West Coast basketball. Let's be frank. You know, there's some old school Warriors fans from the Run TMC days back in the 80s and 90s, and there's some Showtime Lakers fans from the 80s and 90s from back in the day as well. They're still there. There's still that rivalry there, and that's one of the things that we're missing, I think, in basketball right now. It's just two teams that just don't like each other, that go out there and compete. You know what it is when they hit the court.
Zeke, conference finalists.
In the East, I got Philly, Boston, throwback. And in the West, I got Golden State and whoever shows up.
Golden State, TBD.
Yeah, to be determined. Whoever shows up.
You know, in the Western Conference, I think you're going to see, of course, you know, Golden State, and I don't know if Houston's going to be as good as they were last year. I just don't know. It's easy to pick them, but I look and say, you know, can there be a new team coming up? Can a Denver? Can one of these teams just take that next step up? Can Oklahoma City finally kind of get it together and play 10 games in a row good? I think that Toronto and Boston will play in the East. I do. I just am such a believer in Kawhi if he's healthy. Just his impact he has on the game in his quiet way, just defending everybody. I'm just a big fan of his, and I just think he's going to explode this year with a big year.
Kenny?
As great as he was in San Antonio, it was still, man, that damn system's pretty good too. So now it's Kawhi Leonard is imposing the system around him. And he has to take a mentality that LeBron takes when he's gone to Miami, when he's come back to Cleveland, which is, I don't think he's ever done or had to do. So I don't know if he's ready for that yet. So I can't give it to Toronto, and that's why I'm going to go Boston and Philadelphia in the East. Because Embiid and Ben Simmons, they know who they are.
Yep.
Right.
There's no doubt those two guys know who they are.
And Golden State
And to be determined.
I just don't know if Philly's ready yet. You know, I think we see the greatness in their young players, but they're still young. And I think there's still a lot of growing and maturing. And I think, you know, now they have to deal with expectations. You know, this time last year, we weren't talking about Philadelphia as a playoff team. And now we're putting them in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Kawhi, in his quiet way, I don't care where you put him. I just feel like he's going to do what Kawhi does.
But granted,
I don't mean they can win a championship.
No, I'm saying.
But I just think in terms of getting to the conference finals in a very weak Eastern Conference, I'd give Toronto the nudge over Philly.
I assume none of you has changed your Warriors pick?
No.
Warriors.
No.
Well, then
Anything happened in the last hour we don't know about?
No.
Okay, then we're good.
Just checking.
Nobody got traded. Nobody got hurt. All right, we good.
No, I think we're good. Fellas, nice job. Appreciate it. And we'll look forward to the 18-19 season. That'll do it for Open Court.